Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be unboxing the July 2020 ArtSnacks box. If I'm being wholly honest, I actually got this box really late thanks to the holiday, and by the time it arrived to me, I had already seen spoilers on social media like Instagram, so I already know what's inside. So no guessing, we'll just go ahead and get on inside and show off what we got for this month. Ooh, I love when they give us Smarties, yay. I must add you to my, oh, well, I tried. There we go. Oh, that's a lot tinier than I thought it was. Let's see what we got here. This was the spoiler that ArtSnacks revealed. Oh, that's a big boy. Yeah. There we go. Yeah, that's a big one. I did get one of the redder shades with the Daniel Smith stick. That just sounds funny. I got Spiral Orange. Yeah. I've never used one of these before, so that's interesting. And it's Daniel Smith. You can't go wrong with Daniel Smith. We'll talk about those last. We have the, I think it's Kuretake-ZIG. Brush 2.0. I see what they did. The H2O brush 2. I see what they did there. That's clever. It's a Petit. Oh, well, I guess it explains why it's so small. We'll go ahead and steal the sticker, which is, ooh, that's pretty. You gonna be nice to me today? No, I always seem, there we go. I always struggle with the stickers. That one's really pretty. I like the kind of ocean ombre effect we got going on there. Right there. That looks blue. So I think I got a blue shade. And then I also have, ooh, pink. And these are the Kuretake-ZIG GANSAI TAMBI watercolors. They're different than normal watercolors, at least from what I've heard. I've wanted to get the full set of these off Amazon for a while now, but I keep holding off. So it's actually nice that I get to try these before I buy the full set. That would leave us with a blue, a pink, and an orange for our colors. Unfortunately, I only ended up with one primary. It's going to take some thought to figure out what I'm going to do with those colors. So getting right into it, I didn't have the same mixed media paper that came in the Plus box, so I grabbed my trusty Canson XL mixed media pad that I've done previous ArtSnacks challenges in when I don't have a close enough paper to the Plus box. The Fineliner was a Fineliner, neither good nor bad. It definitely didn't feel as big as I thought it was going to on the nib size, so that was good. The little Petit brush was actually very hard for my hands to hold. It was a little too small. And as you can see, I actually ran into a lot of trouble with the water either being too much or too little. And sometimes I just could not get a good pigment retention unless I was pulling color directly from the pans. In fact, later on you'll see that I actually abandoned the brush altogether in favor of some of my favorite watercolor brushes, just because I was having such a frustrating time and I didn't want to stop working on the piece simply because I was frustrated from the brush. So for the swatches I make do, I'll use paper towel to mop up any excess water and just try and get through it, but definitely not my favorite. The colors themselves are definitely different. It's a subtle difference from a traditional watercolor. One of the biggest things I can tell is that normally if I'd use a watercolor and have that much water overflowing, it would make that cabbaging effect, I think is what it's called, where it gets like that little, you could almost consider it like a flower effect around it. That never happened with these despite all the water, so you can definitely tell they're a little different. Now the little Daniel Smith stick here, I actually was surprised at how that went on, because it's like it didn't cover very well, but the pigment is so concentrated that when you apply the water, it's fine. And it doesn't have that usual issue if you use a solid watercolor medium like a pencil or a stick or what have you, where it forms a hard line around it. That didn't happen, and I appreciate that didn't happen. Then I just went through and combined the 3 colors to see what tones I could get. I only had the primary blue, so I was kind of stuck with a salmon coral color, mixing the pink and the orange, and then varying tones of purple by mixing the other 2 with the blue. But in swatching actually gave me some inspiration, and I had 2 ideas actually. I was either going to go with a flamingo or a sunset. And I was originally going to go with the flamingo, but I had already started a flamingo piece and I was about to finish that. So I didn't want to do another flamingo because either I was going to love it more than the other one, or it was going to frustrate me that it wasn't coming out as good as the other one. So I opted for the sunset. And I mean, really, who doesn't love just relaxing and painting a sunset? It is one of the, I want to say, simplest things. It's simple, but not, if that makes sense. But you don't have to stress, because if your colors don't match up right, or you can have fun with it, because the sunset looks different every day. So I specifically went with a sunset on the beach with a palm tree shadowed in the foreground, because 1, I really like that effect of having something like a tree or a house or whatever being in black against a colored sunset background. I think that looks really pretty. It's really classic. It's really fun. And again, kind of plays into that simple feel, like anyone can do that. And second, I picked the beach because, well, I'm two things. I'm nowhere near the beach, so it would be a great effort to go to the beach. It would take a couple of hours of a drive. And number 2, I wouldn't do that anyway right now because I'm staying at home as much as physically possible, only going out when I absolutely have to for groceries, diapers, or anything like that. So yeah, this was my version of a staycation, shall we say. I don't really like that word. It's kind of funny, but that's what this is. I just kind of relaxed and stayed home and painted something that would have been fun to actually go to in person. The large nib size actually worked out in my favor here and let me cover more of the paper quicker, so I enjoyed that. And the nib was just the right size for getting the fronds. And it took a while to get all those fronds, but it was well worth the effort to take my time and do each one individually. And with this, you can have fun. I used a reference because I use a reference for everything, because you get yelled at in high school and art school long enough and you will use a reference till the end of time. But it works. But you can have fun with palm trees. You can see they're all different shapes, sizes. Some are bent, some are going a different direction, and you can just really have fun with it. And I enjoy this kind of liney texture. I'll actually do that for things that don't need it because I enjoy it. In fact, in Inktober, when that comes around, I'll do a lot of the line-esque motions for shading purposes just because I like the way that looks with black ink. But that's a few months in advance. I'm actually sitting here debating if I want to get the October ArtSnacks. Oh, Inktober, not October. I'm getting the October, of course. The Inktober ArtSnacks box. I'm not sure if I want to. I kind of do, because I really enjoyed the watercolor box, the Daniel Smith watercolor box for World Watercolor Month. So I wanted the Inktober one last year and didn't get it, and then I was really sad. So I think I want to get it this year. After erasing with a kneaded eraser, just to interject back to the piece, I went ahead and filled back in some missing spots that the graphite had been shading but was now gone. And of course, like every video I do, I got a little monster with a bag of graham crackers being shoved in my face. So she got her graham cracker and I continued on. I'm always amazed with how great she is while I set up and do these. She tends to only come over if she needs something or if she's really, really just needing some attention. She's such a good kid when it comes to these things, and I can't gush enough about how sweet she is about it. So I will gladly give her a graham cracker every video if I have to, if it keeps her happy. So busting out the colors once I was happy with the amount of black ink on the piece. I got the palette from the Daniel Smith watercolor collection. You can actually see a little bit of the other colors on the other side from working on that piece, which I'm almost done. I have taken so long to do that, and it's hopefully going to be posted at the end of the month here, but we'll see. But I give it a good old college try with this brush. I try to get the color in there, and it's just so faint, and it's just driving me crazy. And eventually here you'll see I look at it, and I just like, I can't do it. Yep, there it is. I can't do it. And off it goes. So I have to say, for the first time, that is not a thing for me. Normally I love everything that comes in an ArtSnacks box, but that brush is just not for me, and that's okay, because that's kind of the purpose of these boxes, is to test out supplies like that and find what works for you and what doesn't. So never feel like you have to love everything that comes in these boxes. I feel a pressure to love them all, but you don't have to. So getting in, I just kind of started to fade out from the bluish to the purplish to the orangey-ish tone, orange pink salmon tone, kind of figuring out where I wanted the fade to be. And because of the black ink, I can just go right over it. It's waterproof. I had to actually test that for a second because I was like, is it? I don't know. But it is nice and safe. So I just took my time, went back over what bothered me, added a little color here, added a wash here. It was a slow process. I took my time. They don't re-wet as well as I would like, so it definitely took some getting used to, because if I'd start to touch something that was dry, I'd have to go back over the whole area again a second time, which can be used beneficially, but for this it kind of drove me nuts a couple of times. And that might also have to do with the fact that it's mixed media paper as opposed to a watercolor paper. So who knows. Adding in a little bit of the stick rough as opposed to off the palette to kind of give an idea of where the sun, the harshest part of the sun would be. Of course, I can't resist going back in again because I was like not quite happy with my colors. So again, an interesting thing is I really did capitalize on the fact that I could use a real excess of water because it didn't cabbage. So I use a lot of water, which is I find a good benefit to these watercolors that other watercolors you wouldn't be able to do. So definitely, if you're playing around with them in the future, use that to your advantage, that you can play with extra water. Going back in with the stick, this stick really came in handy. I used it for the area where the sun would be just setting. I used it to create kind of like almost waves effects on the water. And I even used it a third time in the dark purple of the sand to kind of create where like there'd be dips and uneven like footprints and sand dunes and stuff. That stick came just in so much handy. Is that how you say it? So much handy? It was so helpful? I don't know. English language is weird. You could speak it your whole life. It's your only language, and still you're like, wait, is that right? I don't know. But we're wrapping up here. I'm just about done. I'm going to add a little bit of the stick here and wet it, and then I'm actually... I lucked out that I was happy with it, because in rare form, right as I'm done, the kid she was not having it that day. She was so good when I was drawing it the day before with the pencil and the ink, but the painting here, she was not having it. She was having a bad day. I think her tummy was hurting, and she ended up going to play with the cat litter box, which, oh boy. So I actually ended up leaving the video recording for like 20 minutes as I dealt with that issue, and when I came back, everything was dry, but thankfully as you can see, it actually looks pretty good. So if you like this video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing to the channel. We are trying to update twice a month with videos. Trying to push that more as I get more comfortable. But definitely subscribe if you want to see more. And leave a comment down below with what you made with your ArtSnacks box. All right, guys, take care, and I will see you in the next one.